course, like everybody else, people struggle with connecting their class philosophy with a mission statement. Um, so um, I will look at the mission statement. Okay, so to develop courageous, thoughtful, and creative young leaders through excellent, disciplinary, holistic, and rigorous Christian education. So when school started during Foundations Week, the very first homework that I gave my students was to reflect on what the mission statement meant to them. And before doing that, I talked about the terms that we came across when we did the activity as teachers the week before. And I was thinking about it and explaining it to them. And then when they got their papers and we talked about it, a few things came about. One of which was leadership, courageous, often came about. And then the Christian education, which is very new to me. I mean, I've been a Christian my whole life, but to actually be able to apply my faith in the classroom was, I wouldn't say difficult, but different. And I wasn't sure how I was going to do it in science. So I was racking my brain about this, okay? And I was like, okay, what is my class philosophy? We have the mission statement, but what is my class philosophy? And, okay, so one of the other homeworks that I gave them was, okay, write a quote that you want to turn to, in case you go through challenges, which you will go throughout the year, that you want to refer to. And I shared them this quote because this was, I know a lot of quotes, but this quote resonated with me the most. And I remember it like it was yesterday when I first immigrated here in the United States 14 years ago. Coming from the Philippines and having pursued a double major in physics and math, and then coming here and having to work in a sandwich shop in Las Vegas on the Strip, and it was just like, what am I doing? And then I came across this excuse me, building, this big Adidas building with a big banner with Muhammad Ali's quote, and this was his quote. And I would be on the Strip and I would pass by this quote, every day, because I worked early in the morning, and I would leave work and go home and see that quote. And to this day, I still remember it, and I shared this to my students. So, impossible is just a big word created by small men who find it easier to live in the world that they've been given rather than explore their power to change it. So even when I was just making sandwiches at that time, I knew I still had a place in this world to make a difference. As to what that was going to be, I had no idea. So when I was thinking about, reflecting about my class philosophy, these were the three things that I thought of what is reflective of my class, hopefully. So God's presence in science. So from the beginning, I had to touch on God's presence in science. What is his place in this universe? I had them show them a video about how wonderful he is, and I had them reflect on the video and actually, show some insight on scientists who are Christian, And one of the other things is when courage came about in the mission statement was the aspect of resilience, that courage is not just overcoming something. Resilience is being able to reflect on it and bouncing back when you come across challenges. And in the mission statement, I keep telling them that whether they like it or not, they are the future of this world, not just the country, but of this world. They are agents of change. And I said, you're 8th graders, you're 7th graders, but in the near future, you will have the power to vote. And anything that you do now will reflect all your values and beliefs now will affect everything in the future. So I just want to close with this quote. Not that I have already obtained all this or have already been made perfect, but I press on to take hold of that which Christ Jesus took hold of me. Um, this reflects, I guess, most of how I perceive myself as a teacher. I know, it's just my third year of teaching and totally different approach to how I teach compared to the last 2 years I taught. I was telling people for the longest time, I was convincing myself, even I pursued teaching, that I might not be, teaching might not be for me. And then I shifted that this year. And I go back to this quote from the Bible, or this verse, because you know what? I aim things to be a certain way, but I know God has put me in this place to have a purpose, um, not just for me, but for kids. And hopefully, whether, you know, the next few years they reflect back on their science class, even if it's not about science that they remember about, hopefully they see that they their own potential in this world. So that's my reflection on that devotion. So let's close in prayer.